Welcome back to another episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Tonight on Conspiracy Theories and Chill, we're going to talk about the CIA's mind control program, MK Ultra. MK Ultra was a top secret CIA project that began in 1950. The MK Ultra project was a continuation of research that was already being performed by Nazis during World War II. These Nazi scientists that we brought to America during Operation Paperclip continued their work here in the United States, now for the CIA. Using drugs and a process referred to as trauma-based mind control, they sought out to create completely controllable mind-controlled slaves, creating altered personalities that they could command to perform tasks. Victims of these horrific experiments were regular American citizens, men, women, and even children. Some of these people participated willingly, knowing that they were in an experiment. Some were just given acid. The CIA would encourage acid use and pass it out at festivals and music events. People were also tricked into taking high doses of acid. One way this was done was through the use of prostitutes, who would lure men back to hotel rooms where they could be observed while on the drug. Orphaned and runaway children were also used in the experiments. Some even claimed to have been kidnapped, and while no one has admitted to kidnapping, the government has had to admit that MK Ultra project actually did take place. The CIA really did torture and drug American citizens. Bill Clinton even issued an apology on behalf of the United States to the victims of the MK Ultra project. And that's what bothers me the most, the fact that it's real. Not the fact that someone thought that they could create a mind-controlled slave, but the fact that these scientists would torture actual people and put them through the things that they put them through that I'm going to describe for you here in just a second. It's horrific and almost impossible to imagine. And that's what bothers me. These test subjects were subjected to trauma-based mind control, a process in which torture and drugs would be used to split a person's personality, to break your mind down to a point where they could insert an alternate personality that they could be in complete control of. Many different methods of torture was used on the victims, including taking them almost to the point of drowning, sensory deprivation, and physical abuse. Many of the victims were permanently damaged by this torture. Some even died. The point of all this was to torture the mind to a point that it couldn't take anymore, and decided that none of this was real and would dissociate and break apart, meaning that the front rational mind leaves the subconscious mind alone. This mind is very impressionable to suggestion. It's at this point that the programmer would insert an alternate personality for whatever purpose they wanted. This process won't work on every personality. People that are most able to have a dissociative personality and have this kind of a split would be people that are highly intelligent and creative. So naturally, those were the type of personalities that were sought out for these experiments. Thousands of people were drugged and tortured while the CIA experimented to see if they could create super soldiers and spies and seductresses, controllable slaves they could use to perform tasks such as assassinations or seducing important figures. They wanted to use these people to infiltrate groups, to be able to take over organizations from the inside. These altered personalities would be completely separate from the person's regular personalities, and your regular personality would have no idea that the alter exists. Having this kind of mind control slave was apparently very attractive to the CIA, and they were willing to go to any lengths to achieve their goals. Whether they did achieve their goals or not remains unknown. The CIA claims that the MK Ultra project was a failure, and that they were never able to create a mind-controlled slave or alternate personalities of any kind. The MK Ultra project was supposedly ceased in 1973, although many people believe it still continues to this day. Many people also believe that the CIA absolutely created mind-controlled slaves. There's many reasons to believe the CIA would be dishonest. Being dishonest is a very large part of what the CIA does. If they were able to create super soldiers or spies or seductresses capable of, sending in to seduce powerful world leaders and things like this, would they be forthright with that information? Would they want people to know that they knew how to create mind-controlled slaves? Of course they wouldn't. It also logically falls into line that if you were conducting this type of experiments for nearly 25 years, that you wouldn't just stop in 1973 and abandon all research and never go into it ever again. It seems quite the investment to just walk away from. And I have trouble believing it's because of their morals, that they just one day decided, no, this is wrong, we shouldn't do this anymore. Being able to do that to people for over 2 decades, for me, cancels out the theories of moral redemption. There are actually a couple of cases you can make for MKUltra assassins and slaves being used in the real world. Examples of this would be Lee Harvey Oswald, Mark David Chapman, and John Hinckley. All have weird circumstances surrounding them that seem to tie them as possible MKUltra victims. It's also believed that elements of MKUltra are still used in Hollywood today. Some examples of this would be predictive programming, subliminal messaging, as well as propaganda to help drive the official narrative or whatever lie they're happen to be pushing at the moment. And it's also believed that some celebrities may be victims of MKUltra mind control. Some examples would be Drew Barrymore, Shia LaBeouf, Katy Perry, Britney Spears, and Justin Bieber's, Kanye West, even Beyonce. All of these people definitely exhibit weird behavior, and it's understandable why people would question it, although they could just be weird. It's really hard to say. It does seem that as far as actual proof goes with MKUltra, we've been given all that we're going to be given. Everything from this point on would just be speculation. And even though it's just speculation, there's a lot of interesting stuff out there about how MKUltra might still be being used today. And being how it would be shrouded in secrecy, speculation sometimes is going to be about as close to proof as you can get. But a lot of these theories have strong cases. It's a lot of interesting things that you should look into and look up. The MKUltra project also ties into the Montauk Project and the Philadelphia experiment, as well as other top secret programs and experiments. But whether the CIA created mind-controlled super soldiers and spies or not, thousands of people were experimented on. That's a fact. These people were tortured and drugged, driven insane, caused to have mental breaks, and had their lives ruined. MKUltra happened, took place in this country, and was funded with your tax dollars for over 2 decades. And even though it's been admitted to, it's still swept under the rug and ignored. Little is made of this program and all the people that they hurt. It's hard to believe that if the average American really understood what went on during the MKUltra projects, that they would be okay with the fact that their tax money was used for these barbaric experiments. And until the average person breaks their trance and wakes up, I guess we won't know the answer to that question. As for me, I'm disgusted that this took place and ashamed that this is part of American history. Alright, well that's going to do it for this episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill with Shawn. Thank you guys for coming. Please remember to like and share. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill.